the count of three, everybody say go and ghost. 1, 2, 3.
Go and ghost.
Amen. All right, very cool. And that's our entire panel. Thank you very much. We're out of here. Thanks, everybody. Well, I'm having a good time in Houston. How about you, David?
I'm having an amazing time.
I have met so many cool cosplayers dressed as Danny Phantom. If you're in a cosplay, raise your hand right now for Danny. We got a couple there. Oh, any cosplay at all. I think that guy with the Jack in the Box head is in a cosplay. I'm pretty sure.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, there have been some really good
Well, Carly, thanks for having us up here.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. It was a pleasure interviewing you today,
I
or
know.
yesterday, and then it's a pleasure interviewing you today, and meeting you.
Thank you.
Well, guys, let's just jump into it. I'm going to start with a little bit of like my experience with the show, because I feel like a lot of you guys can relate. You know, when you're a kid, you have certain memories of things that you did that just stick with you, and one of my most prominent memories was being in preschool. I would run and hide underneath the slide. I would turn around super fast. I would pretend that blue ring went around me, and I became Danny Phantom. I kid you not, like in preschool, I would become the character, because I loved him. He was my favorite character to pretend to be.
First of all, I can't believe I was that old that you were in preschool.
Stop it. I was born in 2001, so it was when the show, like,
my life was over by 2001.
Stop it. No, it was not.
I
was just getting started. Well, when you created the show, did you both know or expect the impact it would have on early 2000s kids and continue to have even now?
You know what's weird about the creation of the show? Here's how Hollywood kind of works. I created the show in the year 2000. I came up with the idea, pitched the idea, sold it, and then the people at Nickelodeon that I sold it to left Nickelodeon. So the new people that came into Nickelodeon weren't so sure about Danny Phantom. So I had to develop that show for 3 years while they were deciding, they were hemming and hawing, because Fairly Odd Parents was doing so good. Thank you for being a Fairly Odd Parents fan, by the way. Hey man, thank you. So that show was doing good, which kind of kept me in their, in their vision. And they're like, well, should we give them another show? And we kept rewriting it and redoing it. Because remember, you got cast.
Yeah, actually, I can confirm this because I auditioned for the show. I remember specifically it was like in a December. It's around like December.
2000 or 2000.
Yeah.
Right by Christmas. Oh my gosh.
And then the following November, I got a call from my agent. They're like, "Oh, you booked that Danny Phantom thing," and my first reaction was, "What? What is that?
What is that?
I don't remember that." They're like, "Oh yeah, it was like almost a year ago you auditioned."
Cut to me for 11 months slaving away trying to get this thing going.
Well,
and
how
did you know? You knew?
Well, I knew they want
to be me.
I heard you audition back when you auditioned.
Yeah.
And I thought he's great. Great. We got the voices, and then like, well, we're not so sure about the show. Can you guys rewrite the script? They brought in different writers that I would then get rid of and bring new people in, and there's a whole development process that goes on with all your shows. Everything you see in this building that was a show went through a huge development process for years, and especially a movie. If you see a movie, it's taken at least 5 or 6 years to get to the screen. So we developed the show, kept it going, and then eventually some executives got changed around again, and then the show got greenlit and got to move forward. We called you guys in for a table read.
Yeah, so in other words, so you let me think for like a year that my audition just sucked.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't want to tell you.
Like, I didn't get that. Well, whoever got it, good luck to them.
I could have told you, hey David, you got the part, but the show isn't happening yet. I could have made it worse too.
And then I would have just called you every other day. Is it happening yet? Is it happening yet?
Oh my gosh, I know. But that's the thing, man. You go into these situations where you create an idea, you want to develop an idea, you're pumped about it, and you've got to stay excited about it, because nobody else seems to be excited. And when they're not believing in it, when they don't want to do it, when execs get switched around, you're like, oh my gosh. So it's really up to the creator to keep that vision going, even throughout the production.
Right. I was wondering, like, how you pitched the idea of a teenage boy who accidentally becomes a human ghost hybrid and then, tries to save his town from other awful, scary ghosts. So, like, what was your approach when coming to the executives?
Yeah, that idea, I swear to God, that idea came because I was actually going to love this story. I was in a moving van with my mother. My mom was moving from Las Vegas to my house, and I went to go pack up her stuff, and we're in a moving van driving from Vegas to LA. And I'm driving, and and the drive from Vegas to LA is like 5 hours. We ran out of things to talk about an hour in. So I'm driving, and I knew Nickelodeon was looking for a new Action Boys show. I thought, man, if I could just come up with a cool name, that'd be half the battle. So I used to love the show Johnny Quest. Who's ever heard of Johnny Quest? Why did that get bigger applause than Danny Phantom? I don't understand. You guys, no, but I was like, if I come up with a cool name like Quest, that'd be really part of the battle. So I'm thinking like Thunder, Dynamite. What are some cool names like Johnny Dynamite? And I'm like, wait, Phantom's a cool name, and I went Danny Phantom. I thought of the name first. But that's a killer name. So I'm driving into LA going, okay, Danny Phantom. He's like a Ghostbuster. He like has a dog, and they solve mysteries like Scooby-Doo. That's what I was thinking. And then we decided to make him a superhero, and then I was able to pitch it to the Nickelodeon execs very shortly thereafter.
So you think superhero was like the buzzword for them at the time?
Yeah, I thought it was better. It was better for me too because I wanted to. I've always been a huge comic book fan, and I wanted to do my own comic book. And then Danny Phantom was different because it wasn't like a Fairly Odd Parents. Or Fairly Odd Parents, you'd see 2 11-minute episodes in a half hour. Danny Phantom was a full 22-minute story.
Right.
We had a cold open, then the theme song, then Act 1, then you had the commercial break. You guys know what commercials are? No one even knows what they are anymore. We had commercial break and all that stuff. So it was a way
that you just press fast forward.
Exactly. Yeah, you fast forward to the
record it and then watch it later.
Yeah. So, but then we bring in guys like David to make the show come to life, and then you just keep making it from that point.
Right. You mentioned you're a superhero like fan. What's funny and what many people might not know is actually you have a major reference to The Shining in the show. Because, could you maybe explain that reference to the people who don't know? And were there any other scary movies that influenced your creation of the show?
Which reference are you talking about?
With Danny being Danny from The Shining.
Oh, Danny from The Shining.
The dad being Jack
to be honest with you, no, I didn't get Danny.
Did you plan that? Okay.
No, I didn't get Danny.
Really?
The Shining, unfortunately, I didn't base it on The Shining.
Oh, okay.
Danny went along with the word Phantom really nice.
Right.
It kind of flowed really cool.
Right.
So The Shining stuff. What's funny about Danny Phantom, even though it was a show about ghosts, we tried not to make it like a horror movie.
Right.
It was more of an action adventure show.
Okay. Yeah.
And we tried our best not to make the ghosts like dead people.
Super scary.
Yeah,
totally.
well, no, we wanted to make them, intense and fun, but obviously it was Nickelodeon. I couldn't really go deep.
Right.
I couldn't make an anime show about demons and things like that. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they want to redo it that way eventually and make it more scary. But we wanted to make it a really cool action. I wanted a rogues gallery of villains like Superman or Spider-Man. I wanted to see a picture of Danny in the center and all the villains around him. Like I grew up watching Marvel comics that I used to read. That's what I wanted. So yeah, no Shining, but that's.
Really?
Guys, should we do a Shining reference? Should we do that?
I was
maybe
thinking
someday?
because it makes like they see the ghosts and it's Danny and his dad is also.
Yeah, no. Well, no.
I think I just think too hard about these.
No, it's okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean we all take different
Give
influences
her a
from
round
the
of
show.
applause. She's
Oh,
doing
stop
fantastic.
it.
She's doing great.
Stop it. Well, it's crazy. So I'm curious. How did you come up with the design of Danny in the first place, both as a human and a ghost? And whenever you auditioned for the role, did you know what he looked like at the time?
Did you have a drawing of Danny when you came in?
When I auditioned? No.
What had you done before Danny Phantom?
What's that?
What shows had you done right before Danny Phantom?
Superman, the animated series. I played Jimmy Olsen on that. So that was probably. I had done a lot of pilots for other things too. Actually,
You did Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
I did Marty.
You voice matched him, right? Yeah.
Back to the Future. Freakazoid. I played.
Had you done a superhero though? You did Freakazoid, kind of was a superhero.
Yeah, but I didn't do the voice of when he turned into the superhero.
So there you go.
Yeah, and I actually, and that gave, I think the first table read we did, I came up to you and I said, so when he turns into Danny Phantom, is there something, I mean, do you want his voice to be like a little cooler, and a little like, I don't know, and he was like, no,
He's kind of just as nerdy.
Yeah.
A little more confident, yeah, because
Right,
we wanted.
right.
Because I was like, the great thing about Danny, as opposed to Timmy Turner. Timmy Turner's 10, so his biggest worry every day is like snacks, and Danny's 14, and he's into girls and dances and going to the school dance or like bullies in school. So he's got a whole different set of worries than Timmy Turner would have. And so, and by the way, he has ghost powers. Oh, and by the way, his parents are ghost hunters. So he's got to do all that avoidance, during the shows. That made a lot of cool, fun tension for stories. And then learning how his powers worked.
Right.
We like to add different powers in like as many episodes as we could. we didn't want to make him too powerful, but we kept thinking, oh, that's a cool idea. Oh, okay, let's give him that power too. So we kept adding powers to him, which was really fun. And but having your own superhero to write was so much fun. But with every superhero, there's pain. There's pain and there's loss. And there's a girl, should they or shouldn't they? So we had to add Sam in there. Sam Manson had to come in. Tucker, of course, the tech nerd who would give him all of his gadgets and things like that. And so having that little triumvirate of friends who knew who he was and what he did was really fun too.
That's awesome. Well, bouncing off of that, Danny struggles with balancing his human and ghost identities at first, and it's a theme that mirrors that coming of age struggle that a lot of people deal with. So how did you both approach that duality and making it feel authentic to viewers, especially kids?
Well, main thing I would start with, we'd have to write a story for David to voice. I mean, without a script, David wouldn't have a job to do. So we had to write a script, and so it's like, what is Danny's problem today? You know, oh my gosh, there's a school project he's got to get done by 3 o'clock. Oh, but by the way, the school's being invaded by ghosts. So I've got to go deal with that and get my project done. So how do we do that? And then David would come in and bring the whole thing to life with the whole team and everything. But that's how you start off any story. It's like you got a hero, and the hero's got to have a weakness or it's a boring hero. There's a lot of heroes out there they try and give ultimate power to, and it's the most boring story of all time. That's why they gave Superman kryptonite. Because he could do everything, and they had to give him a weakness, which actually makes for a better story. So we really based Danny on some of my favorites. Spider-Man, you know, Batman even, because Batman's a human with just gadgets and things. He's got frailties and weaknesses. So, I mean, how did you approach the voice of a young teenage boy?
Well, I was a young teenage boy.
That's true, at one time.
So, and I still are. And still am.
Super young.
The way that Danny was written, being sort of on the outside and like not necessarily like a complete nerdy
very
kid,
insecure.
Just an insecure kid, and like you said, dealing with a lot of the things that people go through at that age, and it was easy to connect to that, and you know, people that have come up to me and said that like the show meant so much to them, and it got them through difficult times of their own, and it's really been very touching.
Yeah, and we really thank you guys for that. If this show helped you in any way, we're very grateful to you guys for watching it, because without you, we wouldn't have a show.
Yeah.
Amen, you know, so. But you know, both of us were insecure nerds as young boys. You know, I wasn't very big as a kid. I was really small, so I know what it's like to be bullied and to be intimidated and all that stuff. And school, when you're at that age, school is everything. That's your world, and so there's no world outside of school. So that kingdom of school is where everything happens, in the hallway, in the cafeteria, behind the school, you know, at the gym, whatever. So maybe some stuff happens at home on occasion, but it all relates back to school. So it was just, and Nickelodeon was all about kids. We had to have a show with a kid as the star. So that's why the parents were just bumbling idiots in the background, you know, they couldn't be the stars of the show.
I find it interesting because, you know, I'm a girl, and I watched Danny Phantom as a kid. Like, I was 3 when I first started watching the show, and I feel like whenever I was like becoming him, I feel like it helped influence the way I approached, you know, my early school days. Because, you know, even like with ghosts, I think ghosts are cool, right? I'm like, I go ghost hunting every once in a while.
They're cool until they show up.
Exactly.
Ghosts are cool until you see one in your bedroom at 3 in the morning.
Well, I guess speaking of the ghosts on the show, you have such a specific style in your illustration. Like, when I see a character that you made, I'll immediately know that you were the one who made it. So what was your approach creatively when designing all the crazy villains in Danny Phantom?
Oh man, we really had a good time. It had to fit in the style. The Danny Phantom style is a lot like the Fairly Odd Parents style, but it's a little bit different, a little more comic booky. You'll notice Timmy Turner has 4 fingers, Danny Phantom has 5. Huge difference. But the ghosts were just, we had to design a ghost that would fit the ghost personality. You know, we had a ghost kid from the 1950s at one point. He dressed like a 50s kid. We had a ghost who was a genie. So we, you know, she looked like she was from a harem or something. We dressed, you know, we had ghosts who lived specifically in the ghost zone. Skulker was a hunter ghost, wanted to be big and menacing. Power, he was actually a mechanical suit powered by a little tiny guy on the inside. You know, so it was just fun to design those villains. And did you guys like our Danny Phantom title cards for the episodes? You like those too?
I was going to ask about that. Do you have a favorite that you've made?
Oh man, well those were based on 1950s movie posters.
Right, like drive-ins, right?
Yeah, drive-in movies, yeah, it's like It Came From Outer Space and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yep.
So the title cards are really fun to do, and then the artists would challenge themselves who could do the better title card, because once we had the theme down.
Nice.
One of my favorites is My Brother's Keeper, where Jazz finds out that Danny is Danny Phantom. That was what's cool about the show too.
Yeah.
The stories, you could watch one story and it was a one-off, no problem.
Right.
But if you wanted to watch it as a sequence, they would all tie into each other as well. So the show, like, kind of like the X-Files. We're trying to build like the X-Files, which was a show back in the 90s, the X-Files.
Yes, so good, so good. So we've talked a lot about the creative process and what has gone into the show, which has been incredible. I want to jump into the voice acting side of things. How did you begin your career in voice acting?
I actually just fell into it. It's such a good lesson in sort of being aware of what opportunities are right in front of you and recognizing them and kind of going with the flow of the river wherever the river of your life takes you. Because I never really set out to, there's so many people that set out to become a voice actor. Voice actors that I've worked with, and they say, oh, I always wanted to do that. I listened to Mel Blanc, and is it Blanc or Blanc?
It's Mel Blanc.
Blanc, okay. In
French,
French,
Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
In France, they say Mel Blanc.
Mel Blanc, yes, so it's Mel Blanc. Here in America.
Blanc. But they wanted to do voice acting, and I had always done. I started out as an actor as a kid, doing community theater. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. Done a lot of kids theater. Did high school plays. Went out to Los Angeles. Was a theater major. So it was always stage, and then morphed into film and television, and did a ton of commercials. And I was in for an audition for a TV commercial, and this casting director who his name was Danny Goldman. Do you know?
Heard the name? No, heard the name.
Did you ever see Young Frankenstein?
Gene Wilder?
With Gene Wilder, at the very beginning of the movie, when they're in the classroom, and he's giving the explanation about how Danny is the student that speaks up and challenges him.
Oh, that's Danny Goldman?
That's Danny Goldman, and that was the casting director. He was also the casting director of the Back to the Future, the animated series. I went into audition for an on-camera commercial. He was like, David, come here. Michael Fox couldn't do the voice, or wasn't going to do the voice, whatever the reason was. And he goes, I think your voice is, the tenor of it is enough that you could get a decent match, but it doesn't have to be an exact match.
No, but it's all about opportunity and making sure you're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But you can't be in the right place if you don't move from the place you're in now. You gotta always keep moving. Yeah. You gotta always keep going. You gotta always keep trying. Right?
For sure.
You say you just fell into it, but you really didn't. You really didn't fall into it because you worked really hard.
That is true.
You worked very hard.
That is
and
true.
You kept going after it.
Being prepared for the opportunities that come along is really important. So, pursuing what you love, doing what you love, practicing it, doing it all the time. So when the opportunity presents itself, you're like, oh, I can do this. So I did, and I got cast in that, and it just fell into.
But it pales in comparison to Danny Phantom. That's all I want to say. Yeah.
Love it. Well, yeah, in the same vein of voice acting, how many of you want to be a voice actor when you... Awesome.
All right, there you go. It's not just about the voices, it's about the acting part too.
Yeah, I was going to ask...
Make sure you're a good actor.
Yeah, like, if you could give one solid piece of information, advice to any aspiring voice actor, what would that piece of information be? If someone's just starting out.
Well, if you're going to audition for someone like me, you come in, I got a show, I got a script, I'm sitting there, you got a chance to come in front of me and audition, have a choice ready. Be prepared, have a choice, come in, and just obviously do your best, but be confident. And see, your job as a voice actor is to make my life easier.
Yeah.
You got to come in and go, you got to nail it. And I'm like, boy, and I go, boy, I can't wait to work with that actor. They're going to make my show better. It's not about me taking care of you or making sure you feel great every day. I will do that if you work and the show works out really well. But your job is to come in and make that show better. There's so many stories out there of actors. The producer had no idea who they wanted, and this person came in and just lit it up, and it just became this whole thing. You know, or characters that come onto a show, like the character Urkel on Family Matters, came on for one episode, and then he took over the show because he was so funny. So there's things like that that can happen if you're a good actor and if you light it up and if you do a really good job. Don't come in all insecure, because that'll make me insecure. And I want to get you out of there as quickly as possible because I need someone to come in, again, make my life easier.
Yeah, a lot of times people think it's just about, like Butch said, funny voices or whatever, and it can be about that. You do, as a voice actor, you do want to try to find the qualities of how your character speaks, maybe any little idiosyncrasies that the character may have as he speaks. But even more important than that, once you find that, you kind of got to let that go and really approach it as an actor, and that's what I've always done. I'm much more of an actor slash voiceover person than a voiceover slash actor. I will approach it as an actor and ask myself, like, okay, what is driving this character? What is the history of this character? Why is this character acting like this? And what do I? The questions you ask yourself as an actor: what do I need?
Because once you do the
Who
voice,
am I talking to?
Once you do that voice, animators have to now animate that character. So you got to give them something to work with. Is Danny angry? Is he happy? Is he sad? I mean, I got to get this and draw it later. So if the actor is just one note all the way through, that is super boring, and it's going to bore the heck out of the audience. You don't want to be boring. I hope we're not being boring now, but you don't want to be boring at all. You know what I mean? So it's about bringing that character to life so other people down the road, down the chain of production, can make that character come to life as well. The reason we're sitting here right now, 25 years after starting the show, is because David did a killer voice, you know, and because, you know, he's a great character actor. He's the only reason we're sitting here. David Kaufman.
Yes.
Wow.
David Kaufman, everybody. And Butch Hartman. It's funny you say the 25-year anniversary. That's since it was creative, right? Because you guys just had the 20th anniversary back in April.
Yeah, it was 20th. We premiered in 2004, April 24, April of 04.
Totally.
And we're, 2029 will be the 25th anniversary. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you guys do anything to celebrate or like reflect on your time on the show this past
You know,
year?
it's the fan base for Danny Phantom is so huge, and thank all of you, by the way. But just posting anything, people get really excited. We just did some posts. I did some old sketches and things like that. We did a couple of YouTube videos back in the day. I think we did a couple of mock YouTube videos. If we were going to bring Danny Phantom back, would you guys want to see animated or live action? Animated. How many animated? Raise your hand. How many live action? Animated wins, all right.
Wow.
Big time, big time.
Wow.
All right, good to know, good to know.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, especially with the recent revival of revivals and reboots, I was wondering what your ideas would be for a reboot.
What my ideas would be for a reboot? Who wants to see Danny Phantom a little bit older?
I do, yeah.
Who wants to see a kind of an anime Danny Phantom?
Ooh,
Yeah, okay.
anime?
I'm just asking for a friend. I'm just asking for a friend.
I want anything Danny Phantom.
I have friends that wanted to know, that's all.
Awesome, very good. Do you have any ideas? Like, how would you want to see Danny Phantom, like...
I always sort of think that like college age or just a little past college age, you know, like late teens, early 20s, feel like where the world is just really opening up to them.
Yep.
And opens up, the stories go out beyond
Because
Amity.
at the end of Danny Phantom, Phantom Planet, our last episode where Danny saves the whole Earth and then reveals his identity to the whole Earth.
So good.
If he was in college, everybody would know who he is.
Right.
So he'd be world famous, kind of like the Fantastic Four. And so everybody would be coming to him, everybody would be wanting, you know, to put him on magazines or whatever. A magazine's a book we used to have on newsstands, by the way. Put him on, you know, put him online and things. So that way he'd be a huge star. So how would he deal with that?
I like that idea of like the whole world, you know, he's called to Egypt to deal with, something with
Ooh,
the
like, maybe
pyramids,
like a
or
pyramid
so there's a
open.
ghost,
Oh.
a pharaoh
There you go.
ghost.
That would
There's,
be really
you
cool.
know.
That would
We're
be
writing an episode
I
as
know,
we sit
right?
Right, in
Here we
here.
real time.
Do you see what is happening?
Well, guys, thank you so much for sitting with me today, and you guys, of course. Did you guys have fun?
Thank you, you guys.
The panel? Awesome, and a big round of applause to Butch and David for
David
sitting with us
Kaufman.
today. And if you guys want to come see them.